My beloved child, pause for a moment. Before you scroll, before your mind moves to the next thought, listen carefully. Something quiet yet powerful is unfolding around you, and this message has found you at the exact moment you needed to hear it. There is someone close to you right now whose heart has begun to change in a way that even they barely understand. On the outside, everything may look normal. Conversations feel ordinary. Life seems to move at its usual pace. But deep inside their soul, a new chapter has already started. And that chapter is pointing toward marriage. Yes, someone in your circle, someone whose path is more connected to yours than you may realize, is preparing their heart for a lifelong commitment. They may not have announced it yet. They may not even fully admit it to themselves. But the quiet shift has already begun. Before anything moves forward, before plans are spoken aloud, before families or futures become part of the conversation, there is something important you must hear first. Don't skip this moment. Because what you are about to understand is not just about them, it is about you as well. You see, when two lives move toward something as meaningful as marriage, it is never only about timing or circumstance. There are unseen moments of preparation, small lessons, quiet realizations, invisible alignments that slowly guide two paths closer together. And right now, something within your story is being prepared. Maybe lately you have felt a strange sense of anticipation, a feeling that something meaningful is approaching, even if you cannot explain why. Perhaps certain memories keep resurfacing. Certain people come to mind more often than usual. Certain emotions feel deeper than they once did. Those feelings are not random. They are signs that your heart is becoming ready for something bigger than yesterday. But here is the part that makes this moment so extraordinary. The person who is quietly moving toward marriage is also experiencing their own awakening. Their thoughts about love, commitment, and partnership have been shifting. They are beginning to understand that real connection is not about perfection. It is about presence, patience, and the courage to grow together. And somehow, your presence is part of that reflection. Maybe they notice how calm they feel when thinking about you. Maybe they remember conversations that seemed simple at the time but now feel meaningful. Maybe your kindness, your patience, or even your silence has left an imprint they cannot ignore. Still, something inside them pauses. Because before they take the next step toward marriage, there is a deeper understanding that must be revealed. Stay till the end of this message, because something huge is waiting for you to realize. The truth is, marriage is not only about two people deciding to walk together. It is about the readiness of their hearts. And sometimes, before two lives can truly unite, both souls must first hear a quiet message that changes how they see everything. Right now, that message is forming. It is forming in the silence between conversations. In the moments when you wonder what the future holds. In the gentle feeling that something important is approaching. You may not see the full picture yet. That is normal. Great moments in life rarely arrive with loud announcements. They appear quietly, like a door slowly opening in a hallway you thought you already knew. And the door that is opening now leads to a truth about love and commitment that will surprise you. But here is the mysterious part. The person who is preparing their heart for marriage has recently realized something that changed the way they look at you. It was not a dramatic moment. No grand event. No sudden declaration. Just a quiet realization that appeared in their mind, and refused to leave. That realization is the reason this message is reaching you today. Because before any step toward marriage becomes real, there is one understanding that must be shared with you first. And when you hear what that realization is, you may look at your connection with this person in a completely new way. Wait just a little longer. In the next moment, the hidden thought that has been growing inside their heart will finally be revealed, and it may explain why your paths keep crossing in ways that feel almost impossible to ignore. Something shifted in their heart during a moment so ordinary that almost no one would notice it, yet it quietly changed everything. It happened when their thoughts slowed down for a second. Not during a celebration, not during a dramatic event, but during one of those quiet moments when a person begins to see their life more clearly. And in that moment, a single realization appeared. They began to wonder if the person they had been searching for might already be standing somewhere close to them. Don't skip this part, because what they realized next is something very few people ever admit out loud. For a long time, they believed that love would arrive in a dramatic way. They imagined a sudden meeting, a perfect story, a moment that would instantly answer every question about the future. But something different started happening inside their thoughts. Instead of imagining a stranger, their mind kept returning to someone familiar. Someone whose presence felt calm instead of complicated. Someone whose energy felt steady instead of uncertain. And slowly, almost surprisingly, that person became you. At first they tried to ignore the feeling. They told themselves it was just coincidence, just a passing thought, just the mind wandering through memories. But the more they tried to dismiss it, the stronger the realization became. Because every time they imagined what marriage truly means, your presence appeared in that vision. Not because of perfection, not because of pressure, but because something about your connection felt real in a way that is difficult to explain. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you to understand. You see, marriage is not built only on attraction or excitement. Those things may begin the story, but they are not what sustain a lifelong journey. What truly prepares two people for marriage is a deeper recognition. A recognition that certain souls feel like home. And recently, that thought has been echoing inside their heart. They have been asking themselves quiet questions they never asked before. Why does thinking about you bring them a sense of peace? Why do certain memories with you feel more meaningful now than they did before? Why does the idea of building a future suddenly seem clearer when your name crosses their mind? These questions have been unfolding silently, like pieces of a puzzle slowly moving into place. But there is one more layer to this realization that makes it even more surprising. Because while they have been reflecting on you, something inside them has also been asking a deeper question. Are you ready? Not ready for pressure, not ready for sudden change, but ready to understand what your connection might truly mean. This is why this message reached you today. Because sometimes, before two lives move towards something as important as marriage, both hearts must pause long enough to see what has been quietly growing between them. And right now, that pause is happening. They are beginning to recognize the value of the connection they share with you. The laughter that once felt casual now feels meaningful. The conversations that once felt simple now feel important. Even the quiet moments now carry a different weight in their mind. Something inside them is waking up. But there is still one thought they have not fully spoken. One realization they are still holding carefully, almost protectively, inside their heart. And the reason they have not revealed it yet might surprise you more than anything else. Because before they can take a step toward marriage, they believe there is something you must realize first. A truth about your own heart. A truth about your own path. And when that truth becomes clear, everything between you may suddenly make perfect sense. Wait just a little longer. Because in the next moment, the hidden message that has been guiding their thoughts will finally come into the light, and when you hear it, you may understand why this connection has felt impossible to ignore. Right now, somewhere in the quiet corners of their mind, a realization is slowly becoming impossible for them to ignore. It didn't arrive with noise. It didn't arrive with pressure. It arrived like a whisper that kept returning. And that whisper carried a question they never expected to ask themselves. What if the person meant to walk beside them in marriage has already been part of their life longer than they realized? Pause for a second and feel the weight of that thought, because when that realization appeared in their heart, it changed the way they started seeing everything. Suddenly, memories that once felt small began to glow with meaning. Moments that once seemed ordinary began to feel like quiet signs pointing somewhere important. Conversations with you started replaying in their mind, not because they were dramatic, but because they felt genuine. And genuine connections are rare. Don't skip this moment, because what they understood next is the part that makes this story extraordinary. They began to recognize something powerful about your presence. Your energy never tried to force anything. Your words never tried to impress. Your connection with them simply existed, calm, steady, and real. And sometimes, the strongest foundation for marriage is not excitement that burns quickly. It is peace that stays. That realization surprised them, because the world often teaches people to look for something loud and dramatic when choosing a life partner. But deep down, their hearts started telling them something different. Real love feels safe. Real love feels natural. Real love feels like two people who can grow without pretending to be someone else. And when they began imagining that kind of future, your presence appeared again. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you to realize. There was one moment recently when their thoughts became clearer than ever before. They imagined what life might look like years from now. Not just the happy celebrations. Not just the exciting milestones, but the everyday moments, quiet mornings, simple conversations, shared laughter after long days. And when that vision appeared in their mind, they asked themselves one honest question: who would I want standing beside me in those ordinary moments? The surprising answer that came to their heart was you. Not because life would be perfect, but because something about your spirit feels steady. Something about your presence feels trustworthy. Something about the connection between you carries a quiet depth they cannot easily explain. Yet even with that realization growing stronger, they have not rushed forward, because they believe something important must happen first. They believe you must also feel the truth of this connection in your own way, without pressure, without expectation. Just a gentle awakening inside your heart. That is why this message matters so much right now. Because sometimes, before two people move toward marriage, life places a moment of reflection between them. A moment where both hearts begin to see the same connection from two different sides. And that moment may be closer than you think. The person who has been quietly thinking about you is also waiting for a sign. Not a dramatic sign, not a grand declaration, just a small moment that confirms what their heart has started to believe. But here is the surprising part. Recently, something happened that made them feel that sign might already be appearing. A small detail, a quiet realization, a moment that made them pause and think about you in a completely new way. And when you hear what that moment was, you may understand why the thought of marriage has suddenly become so real in their mind. Because the truth is, this story is not only unfolding in their heart, it is slowly unfolding in yours as well. There was a quiet moment recently that they cannot stop thinking about. It was not dramatic. No big event. No announcement that caught everyone's attention. Just a simple moment, the kind that most people would overlook. But something about that moment made their heart pause. And in that pause, a realization surfaced that felt both surprising and deeply peaceful at the same time. They began to notice how different their thoughts felt whenever you came to mind. Not rushed, not confusing, just calm. Don't skip this part, because the meaning behind that calm feeling is more powerful than it may appear. Many people search their whole lives for a connection that feels exciting but also stable. Yet what surprised them most was not excitement. It was the sense of clarity. For the first time in a long while, thinking about the future did not feel uncertain. It felt possible. And strangely, that clarity appeared when they imagined a future where you were part of the story. At first they questioned it. They wondered if they were simply overthinking. But every time they tried to move their thoughts somewhere else, their mind gently returned to the same place. Your presence, your voice, the way conversations with you never felt forced. And slowly they began to understand something important. Marriage is not about finding someone perfect. It is about finding someone whose presence makes the journey of life feel meaningful. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you to realize. The truth is, when someone starts preparing their heart for marriage, they begin seeing people differently. They start asking deeper questions. Who truly understands me? Who brings peace instead of confusion? Who feels like a partner, not just a passing chapter? And recently, those questions have been guiding their thoughts straight toward you. But there is something even more surprising happening behind the scenes. Because while they have been reflecting on you, they have also been quietly changing themselves. They have been thinking more seriously about what commitment really means. Not just the idea of marriage, but the responsibility, the patience, the emotional growth that comes with it. They have been asking themselves if they are ready to become the kind of person who can build something lasting. And the moment they started asking that question, your name appeared in their thoughts again. Because the future they imagine now does not look like the plans they once had. It looks calmer. It looks more genuine. It looks like a life where two people walk side by side, learning, growing, and supporting each other through every season. And somehow, your presence fits into that vision with surprising ease. But there is still one piece of this story that has not been revealed yet. One moment that made them realize their feelings might be more real than they expected. It happened when they noticed something about you that they had never fully understood before. A quality in you that made them stop and think, not about the present, but about forever. That moment changed the way they started looking at your connection. And when you hear what they noticed, you may begin to understand why the thought of marriage has suddenly become so important in their heart. Don't look away now, because the quiet discovery they made about you might be the very reason this message reached you today. There is one quiet truth about you that they recently noticed, and once they saw it, they could not unsee it. It wasn't something loud or obvious. In fact, it was something so subtle that most people would never recognize its importance. But when they noticed it, their entire understanding of your connection shifted. And that realization is the reason their heart has started thinking seriously about marriage. Don't skip this moment, because what they discovered about you is rare. They began to notice how you carry yourself when life becomes uncertain. How you remain calm when situations feel confusing. How you don't rush to prove yourself, yet your presence still leaves a lasting impression. It made them pause and ask themselves a question they had never considered before. What if the strength they have been searching for in a future partner has been quietly present in you all along? Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you to realize. You see, when people think about marriage, they often focus on excitement, attraction, or big emotional moments. But what truly prepares someone for lifelong commitment is something deeper. Consistency, trust, the feeling that two people can face life together without pretending to be someone else. And when they began looking closely at your character, they realized something surprising. Your presence carries a rare kind of stability, not the kind that demands attention, the kind that quietly supports others without expecting recognition. That discovery stayed in their mind. Because suddenly they started seeing small moments between you in a completely new light. The way conversations with you never felt draining. The way silence around you never felt uncomfortable. The way your words sometimes carried wisdom even when you didn't realize it. These details slowly formed a picture in their heart. A picture of what a peaceful future could look like. And in that picture, you were not just a passing presence. You were someone who felt like a partner. Someone who could walk beside them through ordinary days and meaningful milestones alike. But here is the part that makes this story even more mysterious. While these realizations have been growing in their heart, something similar may already be happening within you. Maybe you have noticed subtle moments where your connection with them feels different. Maybe certain conversations linger in your thoughts longer than expected. Maybe there is a quiet curiosity about where this connection might lead. These feelings are not accidental. They are the gentle beginning of awareness. Because sometimes, before two people move toward marriage, life slowly reveals the qualities they were meant to recognize in each other. And that recognition is beginning now. But there is still one final realization they are slowly approaching. One thought that has been forming inside their heart, yet they have not spoken it aloud. It is the moment when someone stops wondering if a connection matters, and starts wondering what would happen if they finally followed their heart. Don't look away now, because the thought that has been quietly growing inside them might soon turn into a decision. And when that decision becomes clear, the direction of both your lives could begin to change in ways neither of you expected. A quiet decision has been forming in their heart, and they are closer than ever to understanding what it truly means. Not long ago, they found themselves reflecting on the journey that led them here. The friendships, the conversations, the unexpected moments that shaped their understanding of love and commitment. But one thought kept returning again and again, gently guiding their mind back to the same place. You. It wasn't sudden. It wasn't loud. It was more like a quiet clarity that slowly replaced every doubt they once carried. Don't skip this moment, because what they realized next may change how you see everything. They began to understand that some connections don't arrive to create confusion. They arrive to bring direction. And the direction they feel when they think about you is something they cannot ignore anymore. At first, they tried to convince themselves that it was just familiarity, just comfort, just the natural closeness that grows when two people spend time around each other. But the truth felt deeper than that. Because comfort fades when it is ordinary, yet the comfort they feel around you continues to grow stronger. It made them wonder why. Why do simple moments with you carry a weight that feels meaningful? Why do your words stay in their mind long after conversations end? Why does imagining a future suddenly feel more peaceful when your presence becomes part of the picture? Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you to realize. There was one evening not long ago when these questions became impossible for them to ignore. In the quiet of their thoughts, they allowed themselves to imagine what life could truly look like if they followed the feeling growing inside them. Not a dream filled with grand scenes or dramatic promises, just a life built from everyday moments, shared smiles, quiet support, the comfort of knowing someone truly understands them. And when they pictured that life clearly, they noticed something remarkable. The image felt complete when you were there. Not as a distant possibility, but as someone already standing beside them. That realization carried a calm certainty they had never felt before. It was the kind of understanding that doesn't demand attention yet quietly reshapes everything. But here is the surprising part. Even with that growing certainty, they have not rushed forward. Instead, they have been waiting for one final confirmation inside their heart. A small sign that the connection they feel is not only theirs alone. Because marriage, at its core, is not about one person deciding the future. It is about two hearts recognizing the same path at the same time. And recently, something happened that made them believe that moment may be approaching. A small interaction, a brief exchange, a simple moment that carried more meaning than either of you realized at the time. It was subtle, almost invisible, but to them, it felt like a quiet answer to a question they had been asking themselves for a long time. And when they understood what that moment truly meant, a new thought appeared in their heart. A thought about taking a step forward. Not tomorrow, not rushed, but soon. Because the closer they look at your connection, the more they feel that something meaningful has been growing between you all along. And if the feeling they carry in their heart is true, the next chapter of this story may begin in a way that surprises both of you. There is a moment approaching that may quietly change everything between you and this person, and it is closer than you think. Right now, while life continues in its normal rhythm, their heart is moving through a realization that feels both exciting and deeply serious. Because once someone begins to see a future clearly, it becomes difficult to return to uncertainty. And that is exactly where they are standing. Don't skip this part, because the thought that has been forming in their mind may surprise you. They have started imagining what it would feel like to speak honestly with you about what has been growing in their heart. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way that creates pressure, but in a moment of sincerity where two people simply acknowledge the connection that has quietly been building between them. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you to realize. You see, when someone begins preparing their heart for marriage, they stop looking for endless options. Instead, they start paying attention to the person whose presence already feels meaningful. And recently, every path their thoughts follow seems to bring them back to you. It's not only the memories that return, it's the feeling that those memories still carry, the warmth of conversations, the sense of trust that naturally grew between you, the quiet understanding that formed without effort. These are not small things. They are the kind of foundations people search for when they begin thinking seriously about marriage. But there is something even more remarkable happening inside them. They have begun asking themselves a question that feels both simple and powerful. What if the future they have been hoping for has been standing beside them longer than they realized? That question has been echoing in their heart lately, and every time they reflect on it, one thought becomes clearer. If they are going to build a life with someone, they want that life to begin with honesty, which means the silence between you cannot last forever. Sooner or later, they know they must express what their heart has been discovering, not as a sudden decision, but as a conversation that opens a new possibility. A possibility that both of you may have felt quietly for some time. But here is the part that makes this moment feel almost unbelievable. The same time they began considering this step, something about your energy also seemed to shift. Maybe it was the way you spoke. Maybe it was the way you listened. Maybe it was simply the calm presence you carried. But to them, it felt like a sign that the connection between you might be deeper than coincidence. And when someone begins to feel that kind of alignment, their heart starts preparing for the next chapter. The chapter where two people stop wondering, and start discovering what their future could truly become. Don't look away now, because the thought that has been quietly growing inside them may soon become something real. A conversation, a moment, a step forward that brings clarity to everything that has been building between you. And when that moment finally arrives, you may realize that the message meant for you was never about pressure or urgency. It was about helping you recognize a connection that has been unfolding gently all along. There is a quiet turning point unfolding right now, even if no one around you can see it yet. Some moments in life do not arrive with loud announcements. They appear softly, like a new chapter beginning while the previous page is still open. And this is one of those moments. Because the person whose heart has been reflecting on marriage has reached a place where silence is starting to feel heavier than truth. Don't skip this moment. The thought they once kept carefully hidden is slowly becoming impossible to ignore. For days, maybe even longer, they have been observing the connection between you from a deeper perspective. Not just remembering the past, but imagining the future with surprising clarity. And every time they do this, a realization returns. Your presence does not feel temporary. It feels steady. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you to realize. You see, people often believe that the most important moments in love are dramatic ones. Big confessions, grand gestures, unforgettable events. But the truth is much quieter. The most powerful moments are when someone recognizes the person who already brings peace to their life. And recently, that recognition has been growing stronger inside them. They began noticing how your energy changes the atmosphere around you, how your words carry sincerity, how your presence creates a sense of calm that cannot be easily explained. These things may seem simple, but for someone who is preparing their heart for marriage, these qualities become priceless, because they represent something rare, a connection that feels honest, a presence that feels dependable, a bond that grows naturally without forcing anything. And the more they reflect on these things, the more one surprising thought keeps returning. What if the message they have been searching for about their future has already been standing beside them? That thought has stayed with them, quietly, patiently, and the longer they hold it in their heart, the more it begins to feel real. But here is the mysterious part of this story. While they have been moving toward this realization, something inside you may also be shifting. Maybe you have felt a subtle curiosity about this connection lately. Maybe certain moments with them have started to feel more meaningful. Maybe there is a quiet awareness forming in your heart, even if you cannot fully explain it yet. These feelings are not random. Sometimes life allows two people to awaken to the same truth at different moments. And when those realizations finally meet, something extraordinary begins. Because that is the moment when a connection stops being a question and starts becoming a possibility. Don't look away now. Because the person who has been quietly thinking about a future with you is standing closer to an important decision than ever before. A decision about honesty, a decision about courage, a decision to reveal what their heart has slowly discovered. And when that moment finally arrives, the message you were meant to hear may suddenly become clear. This was never just about someone preparing for marriage. It was about two lives slowly realizing that their paths may have been moving toward the same destination all along. There is a realization approaching that neither of you expected, yet it has been quietly preparing both of your hearts for this exact moment. Sometimes life places two people on paths that cross again and again, not by accident, but so they can slowly begin to recognize what was always there. And now that recognition is getting closer. The person who has been thinking deeply about marriage has reached a point where their heart is no longer asking if the connection matters. Now their heart is asking a different question. What would happen if they finally trusted what they feel? Don't skip this moment, because this is where the story begins to shift. For a long time they tried to be practical. They told themselves that life decisions should be careful, measured, and logical. But the more they reflected on their future, the more one truth became impossible to ignore. Every meaningful vision of the life they hope to build, somehow includes you. Not because of pressure, not because of expectation, but because when they imagine facing life's challenges, celebrating life's joys, and sharing everyday moments, your presence feels natural in that picture. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you to realize. There was a moment recently when they stopped and asked themselves a very honest question. If they were standing at the beginning of their future right now, who would they want walking beside them? The answer arrived quietly, but it arrived with a calm certainty that surprised them. Your name, your presence, your spirit. And the moment they allowed themselves to accept that truth, something inside their heart felt lighter. Because sometimes the greatest clarity comes not when we discover someone new, but when we finally recognize the value of someone who has already been part of our journey. That realization has changed the way they see your connection. Now every interaction feels meaningful. Every shared moment feels like a piece of something larger. And even the smallest conversations carry a sense that something important is unfolding. But here is the part that makes this moment so extraordinary. They are beginning to believe that the message guiding their heart is not only about their feelings. It may also be about timing. Because the moment someone prepares for marriage is not only about love. It is about readiness. Readiness to be honest. Readiness to step forward. Readiness to trust that a meaningful connection deserves to be explored. And that readiness is growing stronger inside them with every passing day. Don't look away now, because the thought that has been quietly forming in their heart may soon turn into action. A moment where silence becomes a conversation. A moment where curiosity becomes truth. A moment where two people finally acknowledge the connection that has been unfolding between them. And when that moment arrives, you may realize that the message meant for you was never simply about someone preparing for marriage. It was about preparing both of your hearts to recognize a future that may already be waiting just ahead. A quiet wave of clarity is moving through their heart right now, and it is guiding them toward a realization they can no longer ignore. For a long time, they wondered if the feelings they carried were simply reflections of familiarity, memories, or shared moments that naturally happen when two people spend time in each other's lives. But something inside them has shifted. The questions have slowly turned into answers. Don't skip this moment, because the understanding that has begun to rise inside their heart is more powerful than they ever expected. They have started to see your connection not as coincidence, but as something meaningful that has been unfolding piece by piece. When they look back now, they notice how many small moments quietly built the foundation between you. Moments that seemed simple at the time. Moments that felt ordinary. Yet those very moments are the ones that now stand out the most. Because they revealed something rare. A connection that grew naturally. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Recently they asked themselves a question that changed the way they see the future. What if the person they have been waiting for is not someone they need to search for anymore? What if that person has already been walking beside them through conversations, shared laughter, and quiet understanding? That question opened a door in their mind that they had never fully stepped through before. And once that door opened, they could not close it again. Because every reflection brought them back to the same truth. Your presence has brought a sense of calm into their life that they cannot easily explain. Not excitement that fades. Not curiosity that disappears. But something steady. Something that feels real. And when someone begins preparing their heart for marriage, that kind of feeling becomes impossible to overlook. Because marriage is not only about love, it is about partnership, trust, the quiet belief that two people can grow through life together. And the more they think about that kind of future, the more your presence feels like a natural part of it. But there is something even more surprising that has recently begun to form inside their thoughts. They have started wondering if the message guiding their heart is not only meant for them. What if it is also meant for you? What if both of you have been moving toward the same realization from different directions? Don't look away now, because sometimes life prepares two hearts quietly before bringing them to the same moment of understanding. And that moment may be closer than either of you realize. The person who has been reflecting on marriage is beginning to feel that the next step may require courage. Not a dramatic gesture, not a rushed decision, but a sincere conversation where the truth of their heart is finally shared. A moment where the silence between you turns into clarity. And when that moment arrives, you may discover that the message you were meant to hear was never about pressure or urgency. It was about helping you recognize that a meaningful future sometimes begins with the person who has already been part of your story all along. Just when they thought they understood their feelings, a new realization quietly appeared, and it changed the way they see everything about you. It happened during a simple moment of reflection. No noise, no distractions, just a quiet space where thoughts begin to speak honestly. And in that silence, one truth stood out more clearly than ever before. Your presence has never felt temporary in their life. Don't skip this moment, because what they understood next may surprise you more than anything that has come before. For a long time they believed that love was something dramatic, something that would suddenly appear and turn life upside down. But the more they reflected on what truly matters in marriage, the more they realized something unexpected. Real connection often grows quietly. It forms through trust, patience, and the small moments that slowly build a sense of belonging between two people. And when they began looking at their life through that lens, they noticed something remarkable. Many of those meaningful moments somehow include you. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They started remembering conversations that once felt ordinary but now seem important. Moments where your words offered understanding without effort. Moments where your presence brought calm during times when life felt uncertain. Those memories began forming a picture in their heart. A picture of a future that feels balanced, sincere, and filled with quiet happiness. And every time they imagined that future, your place in it felt natural. Not forced, not imagined, just right. But there is another layer to this realization that makes it even more powerful. They have started to understand that preparing for marriage is not only about choosing someone. It is also about becoming the kind of person who can build something meaningful with that person. And lately they have been asking themselves if they are ready to take that step. Not perfectly, but sincerely. Because when someone reaches the point where they begin thinking about marriage seriously, they start valuing honesty above everything else. And that honesty is slowly guiding them toward a moment they can no longer postpone. A moment where the truth of their heart must finally be shared. Don't look away now. Because the closer they move toward that moment, the clearer one thing becomes. This connection between you has never been ordinary. It has been quietly growing stronger with every conversation, every shared experience, every moment of understanding. And the thought that has now taken root inside their heart is simple but powerful. If they are going to build a future with someone, they want it to begin with the person whose presence already feels meaningful. The person whose energy brings peace instead of uncertainty. The person whose place in their life feels genuine. That realization has been guiding their thoughts day after day. And now they are beginning to wonder something that once felt impossible. What if the future they have been hoping for is already closer than they imagined? Because sometimes the greatest turning point in life does not come from meeting someone new. It comes from finally recognizing the value of someone who has quietly been part of your journey all along. And that recognition may soon lead to a moment that changes the direction of both your lives. A quiet truth is about to rise to the surface, and when it does, the meaning of this connection may finally become impossible to overlook. For a long time, the person who has been reflecting on marriage tried to keep their thoughts balanced. They told themselves not to move too quickly, not to assume too much, not to read deeper meaning into moments that might simply be ordinary. But something about you has made that careful distance harder to maintain. Because every time they try to see the future without including you, the picture somehow feels incomplete. Don't skip this moment. The realization that has been forming in their heart is stronger now than it has ever been before. They have started to recognize that the connection between you was never built on excitement alone. It was built on understanding. Understanding that grew through small conversations. Through moments where neither of you had to pretend to be someone else. Through quiet honesty that slowly revealed the kind of trust many people spend years searching for. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Recently they experienced a moment that made everything feel even clearer. It was not something dramatic. It was simply a realization that appeared when they were thinking about what kind of life partner they truly want. Someone patient. Someone sincere. Someone who can turn ordinary days into meaningful ones. And as they reflected on those qualities, they noticed something surprising. You already carry many of them, not in a way that demands attention, but in a way that quietly stands out once someone begins looking closely. That realization stayed with them, because it made them understand something important about marriage. Marriage is not only about love that feels exciting. It is about choosing a person whose presence brings peace to the future. And lately, when they think about that kind of future, your presence feels natural in the story they imagine. But there is something even more unexpected that has been happening inside their heart. They are beginning to feel that this realization is not arriving randomly. It feels like a moment of clarity that has been patiently building for a long time. Every shared experience, every conversation, every quiet moment of connection, all of it has slowly been guiding them toward the same understanding. Don't look away now, because the thought that once felt uncertain is now beginning to feel like truth. They are starting to believe that the person they may want to build a life with is not someone far away. It might be someone who has already been part of their story. Someone whose presence has grown more meaningful with time. Someone whose connection feels genuine instead of temporary. And as this realization becomes stronger, they are beginning to sense that a new chapter may be closer than either of you expected. A chapter where the silence between you finally becomes a conversation. A chapter where curiosity turns into honesty. And when that moment arrives, you may realize that the message meant for you was never only about someone preparing for marriage. It was about helping both of you recognize a connection that has been quietly guiding your paths toward the same future. Something remarkable has begun to unfold inside their heart, and the more they try to understand it, the clearer one truth becomes. This connection with you was never ordinary. At first they thought it was simply familiarity, the natural closeness that forms when two people share moments and conversations over time. But recently they started noticing something different. Your presence has a way of staying with them long after the moment passes. Don't skip this part, because the realization that has started to rise inside them may be the most important one yet. They have begun looking at their life from a new perspective. Instead of asking who they might meet in the future, they have started asking who already brings meaning to their present. And each time they ask that question, the same answer quietly appears. You. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They remember the times when conversations with you felt effortless, when laughter appeared naturally, when silence between you felt comfortable instead of awkward. Those moments once seemed small, but now they see them differently, because those are the very moments that reveal the kind of connection people hope to find before they take a step toward marriage. A connection built not on pressure or excitement alone, but on genuine understanding. And when they think about what kind of life they want to build, the image that forms in their mind always returns to the same idea. A life where two people support each other through every season, where challenges are faced together, where ordinary days feel meaningful simply because the right person is beside them. And somehow, when they picture that life, your presence fits into it with surprising clarity. But here is the part that makes this moment feel almost unbelievable. Recently they realized something about the timing of everything that has been happening. The way your paths have crossed again and again. The way certain conversations happened exactly when they needed to. The way your connection continued to grow quietly instead of fading away. It made them wonder if there was a deeper reason behind it all.